What's up, guys? Today I'm going to go ahead and take a deep dive into the Am I the A-hole subreddit forum, and I'm going to get to narrate some stories for you and let you decide who the a-hole is in which scenario. Am I the asshole for taking my daughter and leaving the wedding after her stepbrother pulled her wig? My daughter, Megan, 16, just finished her cancer treatment. She's lost her hair in the process and she's incredibly insecure because of it. She no longer meets with friends, nor welcomes them at her home, nor even meets with family in person. It's been bad to say the least, but her stepbrother, 18 Ben, has been making it worse with his nagging comments and jokes about her looks. He tried taking and posting pictures of her secretly to share, but I shut that down, even though my husband thought it was just harmless teasing. My husband's sister's wedding was last week. The family wanted Megan to go, but she didn't want to. I spent so much time trying to help her and convince her to start socializing again and see family. She agreed, under the condition that I let her wear a wig, which I agreed. Not only to that, but I took her shopping to pick her own wig. She looked beautifully stunning in her pixie hairstyle wig. My husband and Ben laughed when they saw it. I don't know why. We went to the wedding and everything was going well till this happened. We were all sitting and started talking about Megan, and suddenly Ben reached out and pulled her wig and exposed her head. I was shocked, I froze, but Megan yelled and took her wig and ran. Ben and his cousins and some guests started laughing. I was especially upset when I looked over my shoulder and I saw my husband sitting next to his mom and laughing. I lost it on Ben and I berated him in front of everyone. Then I took my stuff, got Megan, got into my car and went home. Ben and my husband didn't have a ride home, and my husband kept calling me, but I didn't respond. He came home asking about me leaving mid-wedding and upsetting his sister, then leaving him and Ben with no ride home. I argued with him about how Ben embarrassed Megan and humiliated her publicly, which must have ruined what's left of her self-esteem. He said it was just kids teasing each other and that I overreacted, and Ben had no malicious intent. He was just messing with her. I said I was sick of it, but he said this is their way of bonding as step-siblings, and I was getting in the way of it, being overprotective and unreasonable. We didn't talk after that. Ben is refusing to apologize and his dad is backing him up. Am I the asshole for calling my brother a disgusting, gross man at his daughter's birthday party? My brother, Paul, and I are not close at all. We have very different worldviews and have incompatible personalities. I can tolerate him, but I would never consider him a friend. He's been married to Lisa for 1 or 2 years now, and they have a beautiful daughter together. My girlfriend, Amy, and I were invited to celebrate my niece's first birthday. Most of my family was invited, and it would be my first time seeing them all together. I only see my family once or twice a year with few exceptions. Amy and I arrived a little earlier than we were supposed to. Instead of waiting in the car, we decided to go in. The first thing I noticed is how calm my brother seemed to be in contrast to Lisa, who was frantically running up and down. When he saw Amy, he immediately handed the baby over to her and got a beer and sat down and watched TV. Lisa was clearly struggling and he was content with a beer and Netflix. I don't want to be rude, and maybe this was a one-time thing, but it bothered me how uninvolved he was. He handed Amy the baby with a full diaper and vomit on its clothes. Eventually, Amy and Lisa finished everything. The house was clean, the food was ready. Lisa looked ready to host a big gathering. We all paid zero attention to Paul. When my family arrived, I thought everything was going well. I avoided Paul and I enjoyed speaking to my family. After I had sat down to eat, Paul approached me, drunk, thanking me for helping Lisa. I didn't want to be around him, so I moved out of his way. He was very persistent. I was ignoring him, but he started talking about Amy. Protect Amy like a real man, or you've got a great woman by your side. You know what? Whatever. It was slightly odd and mildly uncomfortable, but I was able to brush it away. Amy was trying to sober him up a little bit before the cake cutting, so she was selectively hearing. We tried to get him to stop talking and drink water. However, he had a lot to say about Lisa. He was complaining about how pregnancy ruined Lisa's body and how a baby ruined his life. Amy and I kept looking at each other awkwardly. We were soon going to leave him be. We didn't leave the conversation soon enough. He was complaining about his sex life, or lack thereof, and commenting on how desperately he wanted to have sex with someone fit like Amy. This made the both of us extremely uncomfortable. Amy left, quickly apologizing to Lisa, and I told him that he was a disgusting, gross man that needs some help before I left. Apparently this made him super upset and he started wailing at the party. Paul told everyone the reason he was crying because of my words to him. He got over it quickly, but a few people told me I was wrong to shame a father on his child's birthday. I could have probably left without making a statement. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for returning home after I found out that my husband booked a first class flight for him and his friend while I got economy? My husband and I, 30s, haven't been on a trip out of the country for years, while he goes every year with his best friend. His reasons for going with him is because they both go to attend sporting events. This year, my husband told me I could go with him and his friends since they were visiting a new destination. He paid for my ticket and everything else since I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have no job. The kids were left with my mom. However, when I found out that he had booked first class for himself and his friend while I got economy, I just couldn't hold my tongue. I confronted him about it, and then he refused to discuss. When the argument got heated, he yelled, "I paid for your ticket, for sake, isn't that enough?" Then he kept on about how I should stop acting like I was royalty, and that if I come to think about it, even economy is fine for me since I technically don't work anyway. I cried because of what he said, but decided just to not go altogether. He changed his tone and started begging me just to go with what he planned, but I declined. I went to pick the kids from my mom's house and he came back 3 hours later huffing and buffing about what happened. His friend sent me a text message calling me entitled and said this was the reason why he didn't want my husband to take me with him, and I just proved his point. I didn't respond, but I blocked him since he's gotten increasingly rude over the past few months. He and my husband said that I kept crying about being excluded, and this is what happens when he finally decides to include me. Am I the asshole for not settling for economy? By the way, he's perfectly capable of financing the trip.